So Professor Anton has shot hundreds of videos, and this one, You Can't Buy an Education, really is one of my favorites. And I hope you do go check it out because it gets to the center of the social problem. What are we to do with the monetization of the education industry? And like, how much are we supposed to pay for a college education? How much are we supposed to pay teachers? How much are we supposed to pay professors? And it's a pretty interesting question about what you're paying for when you pay your college tuition. And so I'm going to go through these questions. I don't want to be too wordy about it, but so this idea of, Socrates never taking money for teaching his students. And it's kind of like this utopic ideal. You can never really know uh, the kind of truth value of some of these statements, but the rationale behind it is pretty interesting. And Corey Anton mentions this, that he didn't want to deal with an intractable learner, somebody who um, didn't recognize the sort of cultivation and discipline and dedication that an education requires, but thought that it was kind of like a product for which you could exchange money. Professor Antone says this, and I think he gives credit to Valerie Peterson for this very interesting analogy. An education is like a gym membership, and it's ultimately about growing, and it's not about getting a kind of final product. And that this is a great quote, that the product of an education is the ability to think, the ability to create, and the ability to express oneself. And so to go back to this idea of the gym membership, which again, I mean, I think this is a great analogy. Um, if you want to see results in your education, just like at your gym and your body, right? You have to do the work. You have to be active and you have to be disciplined and you have to structure the appropriate and meaningful habits that are going to succeed in the acquisition of that goal to become an educated mind. It's not something you could purchase. Right? It's not something that you can purchase, right? What you're buying is access to the equipment, as well as perhaps access to the expertise, as well as, the relationships that you can make with the other gym members. And the same is true at a university, right? You're buying access to hopefully skilled teachers. You're buying access to kind of all of the infrastructure, right? As well as you're buying access to the experience along with other peers, right? So you're all kind of sharing it together. Um, and yeah, I think that's super interesting. So Professor Anton closes with this idea from Eric Hoffer that what you want is someone able to think and grow and be a learner, because that implies a kind of constant cultivation and development, right? I mean, a learner never really has an end goal, whereas someone who's learned, this idea of the learned implies a kind of fixed dilation or a kind of endpoint, right? The fixity is that the person is no longer growing or developing. And in society, right, what we want, at least according to Hoffer, and this is super interesting, is someone who's capable to learn and change and to adapt, right? And if you have these skills that you've developed in your time of education, right? And we never become fully educated, right? We're always sort of moving towards, right? If you have these skills, if you're a learner, you can always adapt to the changes of the social or employment environment.